You ever wake up to the sound of chains clanking like it's Judgment Day, only to find out it's just your own stuff getting hauled away? That was my Thursday morning. Picture this, 6:47 a.m., Arizona sun, already threatening to fry anything with a pulse diesel smoke thick enough to chew. I step outside, still in my bathrobe, and there's Priscilla Hartwell. Imagine a queen, but instead of a crown, she's got a clipboard and her scepter is a pin she wields with deadly precision. Her white BMW is purring at the curb, air freshener warring with diesel fumes, and my emergency fire trailer, something I've spent years maintaining, something that saved lives, is already halfway hitched to a tow truck. She didn't even look at me at first, just handed me a bill, $847, and chirped, "Should have read the rules, Logan. No fire equipment on residential property." You ever had someone smirk at you like they just caught you cheating at poker and they're about to clean you out? That was her face. I should probably introduce myself. I'm Logan Kellerman. For 12 years, I've volunteered with the local fire crew while running my own electrical contracting business. That trailer wasn't even mine, not really. It was Emergency Response Trailer number 7, bought with federal disaster funds, technically owned by the fire department. I stored it for them because my house sits smack in the middle of a coverage gap. I got a little stipend for upkeep, but mostly it was just part of what I do. Some people play golf in retirement. I respond to wildfires. Go figure. But none of that mattered to Priscilla. Or to Karen, the neighbor who moved in and started taking photos of the trailer like it was a UFO landing. There's always a Karen, isn't there? She'd mutter about property values like she was warding off evil spirits. Pretty soon I got the letter. HOA, Covenant 14B, no commercial vehicles, no fire equipment in view. $150 fine, 72 hours to comply. Dave Morrison, my neighbor, waved his coffee mug in sympathy. He's a good guy, retired teacher. Stay under Priscilla's radar, he warned. Too late. I tried to explain. I laid out the whole federal arrangement, the lives that gear saves the money the department saved by storing it at my place. Priscilla didn't care. Rules are rules, Logan. File an appeal if you disagree. That smile of hers, like she was savoring my frustration, rolling it around on her tongue. So I did. Put together the whole package: documents, credentials, fire department memos, federal regulations, you name it. I spent my weekend digging up more evidence than a prosecutor at a murder trial. Priscilla spent hers stalking my driveway with a measuring tape and a camera, taking enough photos to start a true crime podcast. Sunday night, 11:47 p.m., because apparently HOA business happens at midnight, I got the email, appeal denied. Towing scheduled for Thursday at 7 sharp. Janet, my wife, she's a nurse, looked over my shoulder at the email and just shook her head. She's really going to tow emergency equipment. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about rules. It was about power. Some people collect stamps. Priscilla collects tiny victories over her neighbors. Monday morning, I called Chief Patterson, gave him the rundown. He's got 3 decades of fire under his belt. Knows trouble when he sees it. Thursday, 6:45 a.m., and there's Southwest Towing in my driveway, the operator, Jimmy, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Sorry, man," he muttered. "I just got the order." He peeked inside the trailer, saw all the gear, the generator, the comms, the medical kit. "This stuff's worth more than my house," he whispered. I almost laughed, but the sound of those safety chains dragging across my driveway sounded more like a funeral march. I followed the tow truck to the yard, feeling like I was watching my own casket go into the ground. The fee was official, the paperwork was real. I went straight to the station. Patterson looked over the documents, jaw clenched. "Logan, if someone dies this week because we can't get to that equipment..." He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. That night, Dave found me standing in my oil-stained driveway, staring at the empty spot where the trailer used to sit. "She's nuts, Logan. She's ticketed me for my tomato garden, my basketball hoop, my garden gnome." I'd heard enough. Janet and I spread out the HOA covenants like generals planning an assault. That's when I found it, Arizona Statute 48-8005, emergency services are exempt from these kinds of local restrictions. The law was on my side. It always had been. Friday, I called the fire marshal. We've tangled with overzealous HOAs before. He told me they care more about grass height than public safety until something burns down. The irony was almost funny. Priscilla, meanwhile, doubled down. Filed more complaints, claimed I was running an unlicensed business, demanded home inspections. County Inspector Miguel showed up, shook his head. This lady's lost it, Logan. Volunteer fire services aren't a business. But then Jimmy, the tow yard owner, pulled me aside, low voice, eyes darting. Logan, I probably shouldn't say this, but your HOA president's been getting kickbacks. $50 cash every tow. Been going on 2 years. My jaw just about hit the pavement. I filed a public records request that afternoon. Now the neighbors started coming out of the woodwork. Eleanor Vasquez, 78, written up for aesthetic disruption from her garden gnomes. Sarah Kim, single mom, fined for Christmas lights that stayed up 4 days too long. Tom Rodriguez, retired Marine, got a violation for parking 6 inches past his invisible property line. The pattern was clear as day. She was targeting people who couldn't fight back, elderly minorities, single parents, veterans. Federal agents moved in. Turns out what started as a neighborhood spat over a trailer was now a multi-agency investigation. Priscilla didn't get it. She started leaving voicemails screaming about how I'd ruined her life, how she'd burned the neighborhood down before letting parasites win. She sued me, of course. Defamation, harassment, interference with HOA business. Her brother-in-law Trevor got roped in to serve the papers during our Memorial Day barbecue. If humiliation was an Olympic sport, she'd take the gold. Trevor called my lawyer in a panic when he realized he was now on a federal witness list. Maybe we should settle, he stammered. I hired Rebecca Santos, a former federal prosecutor who makes sharks look cuddly. She found discrimination patterns so blatant they practically jumped off the page. 14 violations to Hispanic surnames, none to the white families. 19 violations to elderly residents, 0 to affluent families. The Fair Housing Act has words for that, expensive words. Every morning I'd find a new violation notice. Coffee maker too loud. Mailbox half an inch too short. My American flag displayed for excessive duration. I installed cameras, caught Priscilla sneaking around at 2 a.m., measuring property lines, snapping photos like a tabloid photographer. It kept piling up. IRS referrals for unreported income class action suits for discrimination. RICO charges for organized crime. Jimmy provided records, 23 kickbacks, $1,150 in cash, plus thousands more through shell companies. Channel 15 ran a story. Soon CNN and Fox were calling. Her final act was almost Shakespearean, trying to get her own daughter installed as her successor in a last-minute board election. The community wasn't having it. 94% turnout. Stephanie withdrew, probably after realizing the family name was radioactive. The day of reckoning came like a freight train. Federal marshals rolled up media crews out front, news helicopters circling. Priscilla was led out in handcuffs and fuzzy slippers. The whole neighborhood watched it live. Her last claim to power was gone, wiped out by a unanimous board vote. The dominoes fell fast. Restitution, asset seizures, her house sold, insurance canceled, property values bounced back. Our HOA became a model for reform, transparent, democratic, no more ruler at midnight drama. I ended up HOA president, which I'm still getting used to. Guess fighting federal crime is good for your resume. That trailer's still sitting in an FBI evidence room. But now it's a symbol. We took back our community not with yelling or threats, but with patience, paperwork, and a little help from the law. We turned a story about a power-tripping neighbor into a precedent. 47 cases across 12 states have cited our experience. You ever dealt with someone like Priscilla? Someone who thinks being loud is the same as being right, who tries to bully everyone into silence. If you have, I want to hear how you handled it, what worked, what didn't. Share your story. Because here's what I learned: most people either pay the fine and move the trailer or start screaming at the next meeting. But the ones who really win, they go home, start reading, and quietly build their case. Turns out patience and preparation beat intimidation every single time. And watching justice roll in, sometimes it's even sweeter than morning coffee.